Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaivam narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam utirayet nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Today we are going to read from Canto 2, Chapter 2, text number 22. And this is the Lord in the Heart. Yadi prayasan nripa parameshtayam vaihayasanam utayat viharam अष्टाधिपत्यां गुणसन्निवाये सहैव गच्छेन् मनसेन्द्रियैश्च यदि प्रयासान् नृपपरमेष्टयां वैहायसानाम् उत यद्विहाराम् अष्टाधिपत्यां गुणसन्निवाये सहैव गच्छेन् मनसेन्द्रियैश्च. Yati, however, prayasan, maintaining a desire, nripa, O king, parameshtayam, the governing planet of the material world, vaihayasanam, of the beings known as vaihayas. Uta, it is said, yet, what is viharam, place of enjoyment, ashta adipatyam, lording it over with eightfold achievements, guna sannive, in the world of three modes of nature, saha, along with, eva, certainly, gachet, should go, manasa, accompanied by the mind, indriyaha, and the senses, cha, also. Translation. However, O king, if a yogi maintains a desire for improved material enjoyments like a transference to the topmost planet Brahmaloka or the achievement of the eightfold perfections, travel in outer space with the Vaihayas, or a situation in one of the millions of planets, then he has to take away with him the materially molded mind and senses. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In the upper status of the planetary system, there are facilities thousands and thousands of times greater for material enjoyments than in lower planetary system. The topmost planetary system consists of planets like Brahmaloka and Dhruva the pole star, and all of them are situated beyond Maharloka. The inhabitants of those planets are empowered with eightfold achievements of mystic perfection. They do not have to learn and practice the mystic processes of yoga perfection and achieve the power of becoming small like a particle, anima siddhi, or lighter than the softer feather, lahima siddhi. They do not have to get anything and everything from anywhere and everywhere, prapti siddhi, to become heavier than the heaviest, mahima siddhi, to act freely, even to create something wonderful or to annihilate anything at will, Ishtiva Siddhi, and to control all material elements, Vasishtva Siddhi, to possess such power as will never be frustrated in any desire, Prakyama Siddhi, or to assume any shape or form one may even whimsically desire, Samavasya Ita Siddhi. All these expediencies are common as natural gifts for the inhabitants of those higher planets. They do not require any mechanical help to travel in outer space, and they can move and travel at will from one planet to any other planet within no time. The inhabitants of the earth cannot move even to the nearest planet except by mechanical vehicles like spacecraft. But the highly talented inhabitants of such higher planets can do everything very easily. Since a materialist is generally inquisitive to experience what is actually in such planetary systems, he wants to see everything personally. As inquisitive person, tour all over the world to gain direct local experience. The less intelligent transcendentalist similarly desires to have some experience of those planets about which he has heard so many wonderful things. The yogi can, however, easily fulfill his desires by going there with the present materialistic mind and senses. The prime inclination of the materialistic mind is to lord it over the material world, and all the siddhis mentioned above are the features of domination over the world. The devotees of the Lord are not ambitious to dominate a false and temporary phenomenon. On the contrary, a devotee wants to be dominated by the supreme predominator, the Lord. A desire to serve the Lord, the supreme predominator, is spiritual or transcendental, and one has to attain this purification of the mind and senses to get admission into the spiritual kingdom. With the materialistic mind, one can reach the best planet in the universe, but no one can enter into the kingdom of God. Senses are called spiritually purified when they are not involved in sense gratifications. Senses require engagements, and when senses are engaged totally in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, they have no chance of becoming contaminated by material infections. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। So welcome devotees. I seek the blessings of all devotees assembled here, and blessings of my spiritual master and our DT Shishi Nitai Gaurachandra, so that I will attempt to speak something meaningful for the pleasure of our DTs and spiritual master. So today it's chapter 2222, very nice verse, and it talks about upper planetary systems, and the previous verses covered by devotees talks about how a devotee who has to bring the life air from the navel, gradually elevates to the chest, and then from there it has, from the cerebral opening it has to leave. So the practice is mentioned for a yogi. Here it is talking about the yogi with materialistic mind, and if we have materialistic desires. So in this aspect, the upper planetary system, so so in the upper planetary system, there are facilities. The facilities are thousands and thousand times greater to enjoy material enjoyments. So there's a substantial opportunities for material enjoyments than the lower planetary systems. So the inhabitants, here Srila Prabhupada says that the inhabitants of those planets are empowered with eightfold mystic perfections. So eightfold achievements of mystic perfections. Ashta Siddhis. So here it talks about the various Siddhis, like the ability to become smaller than the smallest, lighter than the lighter, heavier than the heaviest. Like these sort of mystic things are available, naturally available in the upper planetary system. So, and the inhabitants, the persons who live there, they don't need to learn, practice, get the perfection. All those things are not required. Those are naturally available for them. Compared to what we have as an abilities in the material world, in the earth we don't have any of those mystic perfections. Like we don't endeavor for those things unless otherwise some really try to do that. So in the earth, we here Srila Prabhupada says that in the earth we will not be in a position to even move to the nearest planet unless we use the special vehicles like a spacecraft. Today, moving to other planets, or not even other planets, even the space is a greater attractions for many of us. Like we have the cloud, we put the data in the cloud, but now things are even advancing to have some sort of a space. Getting a space in the a place in the space has become even a corporate attention is going towards that. So that is what we could do. But the in the upper planetary system, the inhabitant, the talented inhabitants of those planets, they can easily go from anywhere, from one place to other at the will. And in the materialistic, in the material world, you know, the people with materialistic mind, the primary inclination, when you see something is when someone is doing like someone is um, demonstrating the eightfold achievements, then it becomes like oh, this person is doing, why is that I am not even positioned to do that. That inclination is coming because the mind is materialistic in nature, and also it is aham bodhi. It is like I want to do that, I want to lord it over the material world. So that is the intention, to get attracted to those features which are not natural for us, but the intention is to lord it over the material nature. So that's why these attractions will be attractions to lord it over in the material world is quite dominant. So Srila Prabhupada talks about, with the materialistic mind, one can reach even the best planet in the universe like Brahmaloka, but no one can enter into the kingdom of God. So you can go when you practice, and you gain that the I'll say the tricks, or to achieve that, and you can go to the maximum of the top of the material world, which is the Brahma's planet. Material, even that is material world, still part of the material world, Brahmaloka. You can go there, but you cannot enter into the spiritual kingdom. So that is the limitation. Like when you say, like, if you really want to enter into the spiritual kingdom, you need to have special mercy, and you need to follow certain sort of rules, and you have to follow some. Let's see what it's all about. So who can get into the spiritual world? The question comes is like, okay, if I am not in a position to get to the spiritual world, who is eligible to get to the spiritual world? The person who is eligible to get into the spiritual world is one who has knowledge of the absolute truth, and who is free from material desires. So they, in other words, they are called as a pure devotees of the Lord. So people with mixed devotion, you know, like they practice through sadhana bhakti, but one who is free from material desires are eligible to attend eligible to enter the kingdom of God. That's what Srila Prabhupada says. One gradually, let's say a person who is in knowledge. The first lesson in Bhagavad Gita is I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. Okay, I am Brahmasmi. So when you have that knowledge, even that is not enough. So a person who may be in full knowledge that he is not this body, but he will not be in a position to understand about the other companion who is constantly with us, next to the soul, which is the super soul. And that knowledge comes from a person, for a person who has taken a deep shelter of a bona fide Krishna conscious spiritual master. Because by somehow or other, like we get the mercy, we get a book, or we get some prasadam, we get some association, they pull us, say come to the temple, come and read the class. Yes, we get into that. But if we don't take hold of that, if we don't really take hold of that, we will not be getting the opportunity. We will really miss the train. So the knowledge about super soul, knowledge about the soul and who am I, it's called the sambandha gyan. That will not be there, like a sambandha. What is my relationship? Who am I? What is my relationship? That will be given only by the bona fide Krishna consciousness, a spiritual master. So when you get that knowledge, what is happening is the Krishna consciousness. When you take the medicine of Krishna consciousness, it will drive away all the nescience that exist in our heart. Similar to how the sun drives away darkness. So very, very, very simple but very powerful outcome of taking Krishna consciousness. It totally cleanses Cheto Darpana Marjana. When you take Krishna consciousness, when you chant the holy name, this is the outcome. It drives away all the nescience that exist in our heart. And we know what is our relationship. We establish our relationship, and that is possible by the mercy of the representative of God. So here, our learnings from our acharyas is like, don't try to go to Krishna, go to the servant of Krishna. The servant of Krishna is so merciful. So servant of Krishna is, if the servant of Krishna or the representative of Krishna says something like, I will take you to the spiritual world, it is promised that Krishna has to fulfill the words uttered by his devotee, the pure devotee. So that assurance is that Krishna has said in the Bhagavad Gita, like, declare it boldly, Arjuna, that my devotee never perishes. So that is there. He has given that confidence that he will take us to take us out of the material world. So it is pertinent that we do all our endeavor to please the servant of Krishna, rather than trying to appeal, and rather than trying to get into Krishna. Yes, we definitely need Krishna's lotus feet, but the Krishna's lotus feet can be given to us only by the servant of a Krishna. So that is the best way that we can take the shelter of Krishna. So when we take the shelter of Krishna, what is happening? So we know exactly the identity with the individuality. Identity with the individuality means in spiritual life, there are two ways. One is a mechanical way, and another is a devotional way. So mechanical way, or the way in which karmis, yogis practice, and Krishna says that it is a very difficult path, because only out of 7 millions, like only hardly 2 or 3 get perfected. Like it's not that easy. Even if you try to do in that, the chance of getting impersonal, the chance of inflicting impersonal knowledge is quite strong in the other path. But whereas in the devotional path, it established the individuality, which means Krishna is an individual. The Supreme Lord is an individual. Is an individual person. He has he is qualitatively one, but quantitatively he has abundant compared to the spirit souls, and it helps us to establish their relationship. So, which is very important. I see a light, I merge into light. That's not going to give the personal relationship. It's no more to talk in a very mundane it's no fun, it's no enjoyment at all. Like if you think that uh, it's like a firefly, or a fly that's get attracted to light and get and stick it there. We are not like that. The experience, when we get the experience, when we meet someone, when we interact with them, when we associate, when we serve, even in family life, the purpose of a relationship is like we serve each other so that we love each other. When we love, when we love the Lord, it is called bhakti. That is a tangible relationship that we get it out. So the identity with the individuality in spiritual life, that knowledge, that real knowledge is established. And the Krishna consciousness person, whoever is guiding or whoever is the spiritual master, they don't say that go and stick to the impersonal feature. Like, so it's very strongly given. They give the opportunity to provide the individuality about Krishna and help us to do that. How do we get that? So the next question, like, so the Supreme, the relationship with the Supreme Lord is established, but how do we get that? It requires tapasya. So tapasya in Krishna consciousness. In previous yuga there was strong tapasya. Even if to please a demigod, you have to do a tapasya. There are so many demigods. Let's say the least of the demigods, you have to do a substantial endeavor to please and get something. Nothing comes on its own without Krishna's mercy. So the tapasya for us in Krishna consciousness are the four regulative principles. So if we strictly follow the four regulative principles, and that will help us to gradually leave all the material desires. The gradually or the progressively is a very important term. It's like, okay, I take initiation, I'm not free from material desires. It's not the way it works. The material desires are very strong and adamant. It's not that easy, but it gradually, as we follow the Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing, and it's such a wonderful framework. There is nothing more we could expect. When we follow the four regulative principles and chant the holy name of Krishna, there is an assurance that gradually it helps us to remove the material desires through detachment and increases our attachment to Krishna. So that is that. And here is also talking about one who is not infected materially and who never forgets Krishna is called as a Nitya Mukta. Nitya Mukta. The person who is always engaged in Krishna's service and he always attempts to serve Krishna at every opportunity. He is an eternal servitor of Krishna. So that is the that is how we were earlier, but out of envy and forgetting our transcendental loving service, we were moved to this situation in the material world where we are not really taking the advantage. The material world also punishes and rewards. So the nature of this material world is Dukkale Masashi, which means like it's a prison house. In the prison house, like we have we cannot expect a higher enjoyment. Like it provides temporary enjoyment, but it awards and also it awards and also punishes. So that is the nature of this material world. So so when we think that we are when we get some benefits and boons, like if you practice and you get and you lead a pious life, you will have an opportunity to go to the material world. In that case, you have to carry your material mind and senses along with you. But as Srila Prabhupada is saying that is the you cannot go to the spiritual world. You can travel to another material world if you really act so piously and if you perform that, but that's not that's not a passport or for you to enter into the spiritual world. So this material world, you have the it is from one material world to other material world. You are going to have all the problems that we face here. It's all the four problems like birth, death, old age, and disease is also going to be there. It's not that one place is different, and it's unless you get out of this material world, there is no way that you can get rid of all the four defects or the four problems, the Janma Mritu Jara Vyadhi. There's no way to get out of that. So it's from one place to other, but the material enjoyments is there, but that is not the recommendation. So the highest happiness a person can get even in this material world is an opportunity to take Krishna consciousness and be promoted to the spiritual world. So the limitation of the material world is it does not give you the complete privilege access to the spiritual world. Like in this life, I am in this planet, in this universe, in this planet, in this city. I'm acting and I'm experiencing the problems. But if I just continue like this, I will be in a different place and I will be experiencing a different material world with plus or minus, but that doesn't give me any privilege of getting into Krishna consciousness. But Srila Prabhupada said this opportunity is so wonderful. This is the highest happiness one can achieve by going to the spiritual planet, by taking the process of Krishna consciousness. So that's what it says. The summary is the upper planetary system are thousands of times greater in material enjoyment, but it does not give an opportunity for us to enter into the spiritual world. For to enter into the spiritual world, the senses must be purified, and the senses needs engagements. So in order to engage the senses rightfully, we need to follow the Krishna consciousness through the mercy of a devotee, in this case, a spiritual master who, as we say in our prayers, like who shows the right knowledge, and then who helps us to connect with our eternal position in Krishna consciousness. So it's 8 o'clock. Thank you very much for providing this opportunity. And I would like to see if there are any discussions and any opportunities to learn or any mistakes to correct. Thank you very much.
Prabhu dropped mistake or Hare Krishna Rudramaya Mataji, Prabhu dropped by mistake or Okay. Hare Krishna. Then we will end 8:01. Thank you all so much. I think he's joining. Oh, direct call.
Sorry, I think I got disconnected. Sorry about this.
Prabhu, I have a meeting. I need to get in. Okay, you can continue.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you. Okay, if there are no questions, probably I don't want to hold you. Thank you very much for providing this opportunity. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu bhavati patitanam pavane vaishnavi